Hello, my name is Jens. I'm an investor with Accelerating Asia. Accelerating Asia lets me tap into the different cultures and the different markets all over Asia, and I learn a lot from it. I'm keen to travel to all these countries. The most compact word I can think of would be hard, because it's like a hopping point for everyone. I have it as a startup ramp, and you will be catapulted into the scene of VC investment. So yeah, one word would be hard. Accelerating Asia is where investors find the best match for their interest and their money. Accelerating Asia is where investors find the next big thing. So I got started with Accelerating Asia when I was in Singapore, just as a hop over for 2 days. And I like to network in Singapore in the startup ecosystem. I attended an event of Accelerating Asia, learned about their startup accelerating program and also about the fund. It was a great event, yeah. And that's how it started with Accelerating Asia. So my investment portfolio is quite a wild mix. I have around 10 direct investments in startups, some in the EU, some around Asia, and also 2 in Australia. Yeah, besides that, I'm also invested in Accelerating Asia. Wild mix, I say wild mix because interestingly, although I'm a software engineer as a background, I'm not so much interested in investing in deep tech because I think that there's a lot of normal problems that still needs to be solved in the world. You don't actually need to be techie about it. For example, one of my startups is they're doing software to run kitchen for elderly homes. So that's a lot of tech, but also it's a real problem because in elderly homes, there needs to be better food quality. The whole process in the kitchen needs to be managed better. And this is a problem that needs to be solved better. And also that's a problem that connects to me because I like good food. I like cooking. I'm happy to learn more from this startup about what is good nutrition about, for example. What made me decide to invest in Accelerating Asia? I like to travel between Europe, Southeast Asia, and Australia. And investing in startups in the Southeast Asia region, I have the ability to travel to them and get into a personal connection. I'm very much interested in the cultures in the region overall, not only just Singapore. And the other thing is a lot of EU companies are outsourcing their stuff to Asian companies because it's cheaper there. They're offshoring their workforce. And I think that leads to not good software because the workforce is working on products that they don't care about. It's actually much more interesting in investing in startups in the region, build up a team there. There are people that deeply care about their product, and then maybe have a look at the opportunities and see how it could be transferred to Europe and the startup can expand into the EU market. That's one part of your question because you were asked about what made me invest in Accelerating Asia. So that's the Asia part of it. So what made me specifically invest in Accelerating Asia, that I find the way that they involve me as an investor and keep me updated and are approachable and is very appealing to me. So when I learned about all the opportunities that I have, now I'm here at the retreat, helping out as a mentor and also enjoying a little bit the Bali lifestyle. Feels for me that I'm involved and not just passively living my money. And then I don't know what's happening. That's actually the worst what can happen for an investor, that they just sit in the back seat and they have no influence over what's going to happen with their investment. So that's big plus on Accelerating Asia and how they involve us as investors. Is important to know about Accelerating Asia. I already told before, it's a great opportunity for investors to be involved. Or another thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that it's a great opportunity to learn about the startups in the region. It is great to have Accelerating Asia to do some heavy lifting on the legal side, screen the startup, make everything ready to invest. And as an investor, you always have the chance, you'll be informed about about new interesting startups, you always have the chance to reach out to the startups directly, also co-invest directly with the startups that are most interesting to you. And I think that is very much what is also important. So why should you invest with Accelerating Asia? It's a lot of work for a business angel to look at all the possibilities, all the new startups that are out there and find a good match for you. There's so many different regions in Asia that are interesting to invest in, like Vietnam, Bangladesh, Thailand. There's so many interesting stuff going on everywhere. And with joining Accelerating Asia, you can actually tap into that pool and have an idea like what is going on in this region and what startups make sense to invest in. Also, you learn a lot of the different cultures within Asia and specific regions and their problems. So that's also very nice because I do want to invest in real world problems and not in like first world problems. For example, what I don't like is make an auction platform for paintings or something like that. So it's much more interesting to invest within the Asian region, help as much as possible within the region. What advice would I give? Have a look at your background and find a startup that fits your interest, that you can vibe with. Don't look so much on the numbers because in early stage, the numbers are not there yet. You cannot look on, okay, how much new subscriber the startup has generated within like 3 months or stuff like that. Look on the problem that the startup is trying to solve. Ask yourself about how do you relate to that problem? How can you help the startup with solving the problem? Then next is look on the team of the startup. Are they great guys? Is it like a good mixture of different skills, of different personality? And if that is the case, they will be successful even though the actual idea is not yet the perfect one. They will pivot into something and make it work. Yeah, that's my advice. What made me to become a limited partner? I invested in the Accelerating Asia. I always wanted to help and start investing in startups in the Asian and Southeast Asian region. However, it's a lot of work to find all the startup and then sign all the paperwork. And it's much easier to invest in a fund that already gives you like a lot of connections everywhere and a lot of exposure. And you are already included with your money, with your investment in very interesting startups without the need to do anything. So the fund is doing all the hard work. However, with Accelerating Asia, I can still, if I want to, get involved and also help with the selection process, mentor specific startups, and which gives me a really good feeling. So I have the best of both worlds. I don't need to do direct investment and deal with the paperwork, but I have the direct connection to the startups when I want to. So what emerging themes I see in cohort 12 is a predominant topic is AI and how to help people and like real world problems with AI. For example, one startup is trying to solve bureaucratic problems with AI to automate applications for the government. I have a bit split feeling about this because as a tech guy, I always think of things should be addressed at the right point. Why is this process so complicated in the first place, and better change the government or the bureaucratic process in the government instead of like try to solve it from the outside with AI, because in the end that makes the world much more complex. And at some point it might happen that like the AIs are talking to each other and there's no human involved and tries to make things simpler again. But on the other hand, government and bureaucracy is slow and you need to solve the problems now. So I see it as a smart hack to get to solutions faster. But in the end, I hope also that maybe in 10 years, 20 years, it will get simpler again, because people will see that it doesn't make any sense when just machines are talking to machines.